You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock, the Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock and this is the Beer O'Clock Show. My name is Mark and joining me, as always, is my beer buddy Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi Mark, how you doing?
All right, mate, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Very good. This series, we're inviting friends of the show to come and discuss a beer of their choosing. And joining us this week with Death by Coconut from Oskar Blues, it's Luke McGlynn. Hello, Luke.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Not so bad, thanks.
Thanks for joining us. Now, as I said, we've got the Death by Coconut, which is a porter. It's got lots of lovely coconut in it, apparently, which Steve's really looking forward to.
Can't wait.
But before we get to that...
Oh, can't we just... Okay, go on, let's crack on.
Before we get to that, I'm going to start with Luke first. Luke, have you had anything of interest in the last week to drink, mate?
I've been drinking quite a bit, but just to give you a couple of them, I've had the Magic Rock and Gigantic collaboration, which was the Holy Hope Bourbon Barrel Aged Sour, which I don't know where to get sour from, but it was really drinkable. Mm-hmm. Also tried something that Steve might like, which was the Almanac Ipa, which just is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a big IPA, 7.5%. But other than that, I tried the Padascala from Stone, which is one of the recent red IPAs that they've just done. So yeah,
very nice.
Just a few.
That's quite an impressive week you've had there. What was the Magic Rock Gigantic collab like? Because I was kind of sitting on the fence as to whether to go for that one or not.
Well, I'm not a big fan of sours, but I've just started trying them, and I don't know what drew me towards it, but it was just really smooth. It was just really, really palatable, and like I said, there wasn't much sour to it to me, but some other people with better palates might tell me otherwise.
I wonder if the barrel aging kind of maybe withdrew a little bit of the sourness from it.
Ruins everything.
It was definitely mellowed, I'd say.
Okay, Steve, you went on a bit of a trip again.
I did indeed. You guys might want to sit back.
I'm not contributing to this portion at all. I'm giving all the airtime, mate. Go ahead.
For a few minutes. I've been in Manchester for the last week. Combination of business and pleasure. And I got to see quite a few of the bars in Manchester, and I got to try quite a few beers as well. I was up there for the launch of the Manchester Beer Week, mm-hmm. Which will be coming to an end as people listen to this podcast. But Connor Murphy, who's been on the show a number of times, he's a good friend of the show, has literally done an amazing job of organising such a range of great events up there. And it was nice to kind of partake in the first evening and weekend of that. So a few of the standout beers for me. One of them was the third in the series of the Buxton Omnipollo ice cream beers, which was a cloudberry IPA, which was just off the charts, ridiculous, just so drinkable. And then there was another one I think it was by Torside, I'm Spartacus, which was an IPA, which pretty much finished me off for the evening. But they were two standouts from one of the nights. Yeah, I'm Spartacus by Torside Brewing. It was an American IPA, really, really drinkable. But prior to that, I'd kind of been a little bit all over Manchester drinking various beers, and sticking my nose in places where I probably shouldn't have been. So I found myself at Cloudwater for a couple of hours.
You just wander in.
Yeah, well, I kind of invited myself over, but Paul was, as ever, very, very willing to let me come down and have a look around. So I got to have a look around the setup there. Was devastated to find that I walked in on the day that they were bottling the collab that they've done with Magic Rock. And was even more devastated when Paul took one straight off the bottling line and put it into my hand and said, "Here, try that." Literally, it was like a kid in a sweet shop on Christmas Day whose all Christmases had come at once. I was over the moon to have tried that beer. A stunning, big, juicy IPA, 8.5%. In bottles as well, so people are going to be able to get a hold of that outside of the beer week. So a massive shout out to Port Cloudwater for letting me have a look round down there. I did also get a taste of version 4 and version 5 of the Dippers as well, straight from the FV, and they're both tasting great. So they're going to be really exciting when they come out. Also went to another brewery called Beer Nouveau. The guy that owns that, guy called Steve, showed me around his little brewery. Nothing on the scale of Cloudwater, but producing some really interesting beers, producing some heritage beers, putting some stuff in the wood and serving it from wood as well, which gives it a real distinctive flavour. So it's a massive shout out to Steve as well for letting me spend some time in his brewery. And then finally I spent my last sort of day in Manchester working the Brewers Market. I did my first ever shift behind a bar, which I loved. It was so much fun just talking to people and serving beer. Yes, it was absolutely pissing it down, and yes, I think as a result of that, a lot of people were put off. But we did have a good crowd there on the Saturday, and I want to give an enormous shout out to Bex, who I worked the bar with. She just made the day so much lighter and so much brighter. So yeah, I'm off the back of a fairly hectic week, mate.
You weren't drinking the stocks, were you?
Well, kind of. I was kind of. Well, I kept putting it down to. Well, I need to know what the beer tastes like, and I need to know if it's changing throughout the day. But yeah, it was a great day. But you know, hats off to Connor, who's done a great job of organising that. And thanks as well to him for letting me come up and work and help out. I had a great time.
It was, from that episode where we actually had Connor on, it was promising to be a big week, so I'm glad that it all went off.
Oh mate, just the events that he's got. I was almost gutted to be coming home. I actually wish I'd taken a week off to have done more time doing the events there, because they've just got some amazing stuff coming up.
Yeah. Let's get into the news, buddy. What do you got for us? Okay,
so this week, first of all, just want to give a massive thank you to all of our listeners who have spent the last few weeks voting for us in the New Media Europe Awards. I know at times it might have felt like it was a little bit spammy on Twitter because we had to have people voting on a daily basis for all the votes to be counted up. We've made it into the top 10. As we record this, we don't know how we're going to get on. The awards are on this coming Saturday evening. Obviously, if we manage to pull off the award, we're in for the Audience Appreciation Award, which is a nice award to be in for because it's great that our listeners get so involved in what we do. Obviously, if we win anything on Saturday night, it'll be all over Twitter. But if not, we'll be chatting about it on next week's show. But I just wanted to make sure we recognise the contributions of all the listeners before we actually got into the news. So, just a few things this week. So, some beer news from Hawkshead Brewery, who are bringing back a beer that they first brewed as part of last year's Rainbow Project, the Key Lime Tau. Or was that Key Lime Pie? But spelt Tau. I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's key lime pie, but spelt in a different way. I'm sure somebody will correct me the minute they hear this show. But that's going to be launched on International Pie Day, which is the 28th of June. So I'm really fucking up this news segment. Look, Hawkshead have got a new beer out on the 28th of June. It was part of the Rainbow Project. Go find it. The next bit of news is from Camden Brewery, have gone through a slight rebrand following the acquisition by AB InBev. They've changed all their branding slightly to give it a brand new look, a brand new feel. And yeah, I'm a little bit unsure. It's very clean, it's very crisp. But if anybody else has got any views on the new Camden branding, give us a shout on Twitter and let us know what you think. And then finally, some Fuller's news. They've launched a new click and collect service for their online shop. So you can now buy stuff online at Fuller's and you can have it sent to your closest Fuller's bar for you to go and collect to save on postage and packaging, which includes all the vintage ales. So if you're feeling flush and you've got a few £100 to spare, if anybody wants to buy me the oldest vintage ale bottle that Fuller's have got on their website and get it sent to the parcel yard, I'll happily pick it up for you. But you can check all that out on fullers.co.uk. That's all I've got this week, mate, for the news.
Oh, very good. By the way, that's Key Lime Tau.
Is it Key Lime Tau?
Yep.
Okay. I don't understand. then in that case.
I'm assuming the towel must be some Kiwi reference or something. I don't know. It's a Maori word that's used in various things, I think. I don't know.
Like I say, someone will correct us, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this week's beer that Luke has kindly submitted for his choice. It is Death by Coconut from Oskar Blues from Colorado in the USA. It's a 6.5% porter. Now, Luke, as we're cracking this open, explain to us why you chose this particular beer.
Well, maybe going back about 4 or 5 months ago now, when it was released for this year, or the annual release that they do, I had never actually tasted it, and I just heard about it, so I actually just bought one when I was in the beer shop and cracked it there and then and put it into a can. And the first thing, I just couldn't describe what I was tasting other than saying like the chocolate bounty bar that we have here, and I'd never actually just taste flavours like that or actually felt that in a beer. So when I was asked to do the show, I just thought it was the only beer that stood out from what I've tasted around the time that you asked. So that's where I went for it. And knowing that now, why I picked it, it was such hard work picking up the cans after it had ran out of it. It had done its run. I mean, Christ almighty, I went all around London looking for them. So it became a cat and mouse for 3 cans of Death by Coconut, but we got there in the end.
We appreciate it, mate.
Very much so, yeah.
I bet you do, Steve.
Yeah, because it's a seasonal, isn't it? It's one of the seasonals that Oskar Blues do.
Yeah.
So that would explain why people have had some difficulty getting hold of it.
Yeah, very much. And before picking it, I never actually did much research other than going, the best beer I've had recently were Oskar Blues Death by Coconut, and then stumped myself when I sent you the email for that beer.
Well, it's got lovely coconut oil aromas off it. Really.
Yeah, it smells like that stuff. It smells like you're around a swimming pool where people have been slapping that stuff that stinks of coconut all over them.
I'm gonna say it smells like a sunbather from the 80s, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I can see what Luke's saying there. It's if you close your eyes, it's a bounty bar in a glass. It's all that's there. You've got the chocolate, you've got the coconut, just pouring off the top of that beer, and that's kind of all that's there, really.
Yeah.
I get some slight vanilla off it, just the slightest bit of it, and the chocolate, rather than it being too dark a chocolate, I get quite a bit of. It's like milky, which is I find it quite strange, really, because it's a porter that it's got that milk chocolate flavour to it, ever so slightly.
Anyway, let's get into it, guys. All right.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, that's alright, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely sticky coconut through that. That's really good.
Yeah, it's got some nice carbonation to it as well, which is just washes your mouth.
Yeah. Nice bitterness on the back as well. Pretty good, that. And a little bit of smoke coming through as well, which is always nice in a porter.
I guess that's a bit of the toasted malts, or the roasted malts.
Yeah. How are you finding it, Steve?
All I'm getting is coconut.
Your favourite.
And it feels like I'm drinking a Malibu and Coke, which is probably doing it a bit of an injustice. So I'm going to try and get through that, and I'm going to have another sip of it, and I'm actually going to try and come out with some slightly more constructive comments. I think.
No, it's really sticky. It's lovely coconutty through it, as you would expect. I'm not getting very much chocolate from it, but I'm definitely getting that roasted malts. Bitterness on the back as well. This is, for as sticky as it tastes or as sticky as it feels, it's not filmy on the palate afterwards, I think. You know, it's not that viscous, but it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm getting massive hits of coconut. There's a bitterness there that's laced with the coconut. Much like yourself, no chocolate, so to speak of. It is thick. It's full bodied as well. It's quite heavy in the mouth feel. yeah, that's kind of all I've got right now.
How about you, Luke? Having it for, I assume, the second time.
Yeah, this evening. I don't know. I get there's a real sharpness with the carbonation to the top of my mouth, which I quite enjoy with it, which just washes right around my palate. And exactly what you both said, but I get it really well balanced because of with the toastiness and the bitterness at the end, because it's so sweet at the beginning with the coconut. I guess it's kind of, to me, it's well rounded, but that's just my opinion on the beer.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well balanced, really, for as many kind of combative flavors together. You know, you have the real, like you're saying, the real sweet coconut, and then that lovely smoky, roasty bitterness at the end. But it all comes together, and it's not, neither is overpowering the other, so you're kind of getting a nice mesh of flavors, and you're getting a couple of different experiences in one mouthful. It's pretty cool.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a terrible beer. It's just got a flavour in it that I don't like. So which is probably why I'm struggling with it, because I literally can't get past the coconut. But
Well, actually,
I don't like coconut, so I'm not going to be able to get past.
well,
that.
it's like me with the bourbon barrel stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get through that boozy burn to get through the flavors. But now, as I'm working my way through the glass, I'm halfway done through mine. I've kind of gone past the coconut now. I'm now getting a really nice smooth vanilla coming through. It's lovely. I can see myself getting off my tits on this quite quickly.
It's interesting because we've all commented on kind of the thickness of it as well, and I don't know whether that comes down to the style of porter that it is, because on the can it claims it's an Irish porter. Now that's a style of beer I've never come across before, so I checked with Wayne from the Irish Beer Snobs podcast and said, mate, is Irish porter a style? And he was like, never heard of it. Apparently,
isn't porter a London thing?
Porter's a London thing, and then you've got Irish stouts, which generally tend to be drier than normal stouts, and also a little bit thicker. So I think essentially what they've done is they've meshed the two styles together to come up with this.
Sorry, I also think that because it were originally a collaboration beer with Shamrock Brewing Co., who were also from Colorado, so I guess that might be their take on a porter, and they've called themselves an Irish porter. So originally it was a collaboration beer in 2014, and I think Oskar Blues have just carried on with it since then.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's where the Irish porter comes into it, but like you say, it's a bit of both anyway with the stout and the porter.
Plus, the Americans like giving a wink to Irish heritage, don't they? So
they do indeed.
Maybe it's purely for marketing, who knows?
Yeah. You know what, mate? I do love it when a guest comes on the show and they've done more research than we have.
Well, it's not difficult on my half.
About the beer.
Have you guys had any beers from Oskar Blues before? Because I think this is my first one.
I've
had a few.
Fiddy. Yeah, the 10 Fiddy's a bit kicking.
I've not had that.
That's the Imperial Stout. I think it's in the mid-10s, 10.4 or something. That's really thick, and it's what you'd expect from an American Imperial Stout, really. It's really well done, though.
Does that come in a bigger can, or is that in the standard size can as well?
That's the standard size can. I think the only one I can think off the top of my head what comes in a bigger can is it Goodnight? I think it's Imperial Red Ale.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had probably the most common Oskar Blues beer over here is Dow's Pale Ale. Yeah. Which fans of my accent and saying those phrases will love those three together, won't they? Dow's Pale Ale. There you go. That's probably the most popular and quite a distinctive red and blue can. They've recently released their IPA over here as well, which is okay. And they've got a Pils as well, but most of their beers are quite widely available in most good sort of like bottle shops, and lots of brewdog bars stock them as well now.
Okay, I'll have to have a little look around. No, I've just checked on tap, and I've definitely not had an Oskar Blues beer before. So there's always a first time. So as we're working, I've got a badge. Land of the Free, level 11.
Congratulations.
Thank
Live
you.
badging.
Live badging.
Live badging.
While we're working through this beer, Steve, have you been upsetting the apple cart a little bit on Twitter?
A little bit. It went a bit nuts again this week. People started getting quite aggressive with one another over this week.
They're the best ones.
I know. And it kind of, I mean, it does link itself nicely to the conversation that we was just having about the style of the beer. So this week's Hot Topic was another Untapped themed Hot Topic. And basically I was asking, when you rate a beer, are you rating on Untapped? Do you rate on style, on personal taste, or on other? Now, most of the comments that came through on Twitter last night were basically saying you must, and it was very, very definitely you must rate on style. However, the results of the poll would suggest that 75% of people are actually rating on their personal taste rather than anything else on Untapped. So just to bring that to life with a few comments before I ask you guys for your views. So Alexander91 at Nash Brewdog, style and taste. I have 4-star beers and 3s in others, and I would take the 3 of one style over the 4 of another style. So it's quite a good way of describing how he uses it there. Sarah Maxfield at S_Maxfield says by style. If it's a style I don't like, I try and avoid rating it, or rate according to the style, as think it's unfair to rate a beer based on personal taste when it's a well-made beer. Miles Lambert at Miles Lambert. Difficult. If you judge on style, you need to know what the style should be. Also depends on what you consider Untapped to be. If you use it as a personal record, personal preference has to come into it. Justin Mason at 1970s Boy. I think you have to rate according to style. Personal taste is subjective, and if you rate that way, then you must say so. And then finally, Oliver Conningham at Falk and Carrot. Personal taste. At the end of the day, most things that involve our senses are going to be subjective, whether it's beer or art. So that's what Twitter was saying about Hot Topic this week. Luke, as our guest, you get to go first with your views on this week's Hot Topic. What did you think about this one, mate?
Well, I voted for style over personal taste, just because of it's exactly what you're doing. You're rating a beer on its style, in my opinion. Whether it's good at that style, or if it's not, then it becomes down to the personal taste, I guess, and what the opinion is of the person. So I should have voted both, but I think it's myself. I'd go for style, but I can understand why people will go for personal taste as well.
Okay. That's fair enough. Like I say, people got quite animated and angry with one another over this. When I'm not even joking here. When I think Justin made the first comment last night, and within about 20 minutes, it had turned into a full-scale 4-way argument between
I agree.
people.
I totally agree with what Justin's comment was saying, and that's the road I will go down originally. Personally, if you were going to mark it up on personal taste, you'd have to say why you were marking it on that.
Good shout. Mark, what are I'm guessing yours is going to be quite different from anybody else's views on this.
I say that.
What do you use Untapped for, mate? How do you use it to rate?
Well, first of all, I just want to say you're all full of shit and you're a bunch of fucking idiots. No, not really. I'm going to disagree with Luke and with Justin. I rate beers based on personal taste, but saying that, it's my personal taste as to how I think they've executed the style. So I will find IPAs completely different to how you find IPAs, Steve.
Yeah.
And that's because of my personal taste. Now, I can drink a really hoppy beer, which is a perfect example of an American East Coast IPA. Might be ideal style, and I will say this beer is shit. It's far too hoppy. I don't like it, and that's a review on personal taste, and that's how I used Untapped. But it might, if I had rated it on the style, I'd say, well, this is the perfect execution of an East Coast IPA. It just happens to be piss.
Interesting. I'm gonna sit somewhere in the middle actually this week, because I think I kind of use it in both ways. So and tonight is a perfect example. I don't like this beer. because of the coconut. I think I've made that quite clear. However, I appreciate that it's a very, very well made porter, and it's executed really well, and the flavours are really, really well. So for me, that's probably going to end up sitting at around a 3.5 on Untapped, because that's kind of it's above average, but I don't like it, but it's a good representation of the style score.
So if you had this exact same beer but without the coconut, would you rate it higher?
No, because I think there are better porters out there.
But would it warrant a 3.5?
It would. A 3.5 is probably as high as I'd go with it.
Right.
So, but removing the coconut wouldn't change the score, because I'm taking that flavour away from it. So I'm rating it based on style. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is I've almost got a two-step system. So if I drink a beer and I really like it, regardless of the style, it's going to hit a 4, a 4.5 or a 5, because as we established last week, there's no marks in between those 3 points.
Yeah.
So if a beer's that good, regardless of the style, that's where it's going to sit for me.
Okay.
If a beer isn't that good, or if there's a beer, if I don't like something about the flavouring of a beer, I won't mark it down because of that. What I'll then do is I'll then look at the style. So for me, then I suppose style marks sit between 2.5 and 4. If a beer's bad, then it's going to get in every respect, it's going to get rated under 2.5. And if a beer is absolutely awful, I won't score it at all. So I suppose I've kind of got my own internal system that I know how it works.
Right.
But it might be quite hard to describe to others without the use of a massive whiteboard and a lot of pens.
In a flowchart.
Yeah. So, fairly, like I say, it's been an interesting one, because, like I say, the majority of comments has gone for style. But the public vote went in favour of personal taste. So, but another great Hop Topic this week. You can still get involved in Hop Topic. Use the hashtag Hop Topic. Tell us what you think. And keep your eye out next weekend for another Hop Topic that will hopefully cause a few less heated discussions on Twitter. Or for the benefit of the show, we want heated discussions because it creates great content for us.
Now, every week you troll through your Instagram feed to pick out a piece of art, and you award it an empty box called the Prizes Prize. Who's the winner this week?
So this week, I'm going to have to get an extra big box this week, because this guy went to some effort to win this week's Prizes Prize. It goes to, and I'm pretty sure this guy's won before, a gentleman by the name of Guzzler. And he's got a picture of what I can only imagine, because he's not actually put it in the description. It looks like an Omnipollo beer by the branding, and it's got a melted candle on the front of it. And he's surrounded it with candles, and he's gone to a lot of effort to do this picture. So congratulations, Guzzler. You're this week's Prizes Prize winner. That great big box of nothing is on its way to you. You can check out the picture on our Instagram feed, and it's also in the show notes for you to admire. And if you want to have a go at winning your very own great big box of nothing, put a picture up on Instagram and use the hashtag Cheers Guys. And if it's the one that my fickle mind chooses for next week, you will be rewarded with the great big box of nothing.
Very good. As we're winding down, do we have any final comments on this Death by Coconut from Oskar Blues? Luke, let's start with you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I picked it is because it's just full of flavour, and it's something slightly different, like something very similar like the Cloudwater's Custard Porter. I kind of rate it on that level, even though you might not agree. Just something totally different, and I could easily keep drinking this. Drink after drink. I really don't mind it. I don't mind it. I mean, the sweetness might eventually take over, but 3 or 4 in, I really wouldn't be complaining.
But if you're snacking on something that's going to combat that sweetness as well, it kind of wouldn't really matter, would it?
Well, it's kind of like it'd be a really good dessert beer as well, I think. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Steve?
I am getting to grips with it a little bit more. I've got to say the coconut for me now, as it's been in the glass for a while, is kind of giving way a little bit, and it's giving off more. It's kind of giving off flavours of aromas that you'd get from kind of maybe some whiskey barrel aging, or something like that. There's more vanilla on the nose now. There's a bit more chocolate on the nose.
Yeah.
As I said in the hot topic about Untapped, it's a really solid porter underneath. It's maybe a little on the sweet side, and I really can't get past the coconut, but that's really down to my palate and the fact that I don't like coconut, so I wouldn't use that as a reason to not buy it and give it a try, because it's certainly an interesting beer, and it's one that is kind of, it sets quite a lot alive in the mouth, so there's a lot going on in there for you to taste.
Yeah, it's quite a character-filled beer, isn't it? Plenty going on. I really like it. I think, the coconut is really nice. It's a nice change. Quite sticky, quite sweet, but it reveals that smoky roastiness on the back end, which makes for a good porter. So, thumbs up from me for the Death Bath Coconut from Oskar Blues. Right, many thanks to Ales by Mail, Beautiful Beers, Beer Merchants, Ibria and Hop Burns and Black, who all now offer a 10% discount to Beer O'Clock Show listeners on any beers from their website. So go to our Season 10 beer list on the website at beeroclockshow.co.uk and check out the discount codes at the bottom. Now, Luke, people can find you on Twitter where?
If they want to see loads of retweets, they can look at McGlynn 784. But that's about as much as I do. I retweet everything.
So at MCGLYNN784.
If anyone's really interested, yeah.
Why not? Steve, what's coming up next week, mate?
Next week we're staying in the States for next week's beer. So another beer from an American brewery. This time from Saugatuck Brewery, and we will be drinking their Neapolitan Milk Stout, which was suggested by next week's guest, Louise, who's also known on Twitter at Lou on Brew.
Very good. Right, you can find us online at beeroclockshow.co.uk. We're on Twitter at beeroclockshow. We're on Instagram at beeroclockshow. Steve is on Untapped at beershowsteve. I'm on Untapped at beershowmark, and I'm on Twitter at beershowmark. So until next week, Luke, thank you very much for coming along.
Cheers, Thanks a lot, guys. Been a pleasure.
And Steve, till next week, buddy.
It's been the highlight of my week.
And mine. Bye-bye.